Interstate 395. Yeah. All right, today we are going inside the Beltway on Interstate 395 as the Chiefs are taking on the Washington football team who play in Maryland, and we actually won't be anywhere near their stadium in this because it's in the middle of nowhere, but that's okay. Let's take a look at the route. We see I-395 goes from the Capitol Beltway in Springfield, Virginia, near one of the largest interchanges known to man, and heads right into Washington, D.C., ending at New York Avenue. Let's start out by talking about northbound 395. So we got to start with an overview of the Springfield interchange itself. It is an absolute monstrosity, and this is what it looks like from above. They've done a lot of construction with this over the years, and the first time I was ever on it in the 90s, I think it might have just been a cloverleaf, and it was a disaster traffic-wise. Perhaps it's not anymore. It's been a while since I've been on it. As we approach the Springfield interchange, we see North 95 and East 495 Baltimore. Straight ahead, North 395 and Washington. We're veering to the right, even though that's actually kind of the straight through line. North 495 Tyson's Corners to the far right, which will actually take you over to the left, to the west. We also have an exit for the controlled toll express lanes as well, and there's a lot of express lanes in this interchange. Beyond the express lanes option, we are now getting 95, 495 Baltimore, 395 North Washington, and 495 Tyson's Corner. 395, of course, was intended to originally be I-95. They rebelled against building the freeway through northern DC. There's no need for a freeway through northern DC anyway. 495 does the job for through traffic. 395 now ends downtown. Continuing north, we have now left I-95, and we have our option for 395 for Washington or 495 north for Tyson's Corners, and we can see some of the ramps and overpasses coming up for this massive interchange. Right here is where I-95's main line goes right above us, heading over to 495. Right here is where the outer lanes of the Beltway cross over us, and then the inner lanes of the Beltway are below us. So kind of interesting that one side of the Beltway goes up and the other goes down. Once everything's cooled down and we've got all our ramps together, we now get our first exit, East 648 for Edsall Road, and we also get a mileage sign telling us Arlington is 9 miles away, although I don't think it's actually that far to the border. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about highways and the places that they're signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you really like it, why not subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. Doing some exciting DC action today. Got my DC shirt honoring the presidents here. Yeah. Can't get much cooler than that. 395 Local and Express have somewhat interesting ways of crossing into each other. They have a whole overpass instead of just a gap in the Jersey barrier. So here's to get from Express to Local. Getting from Local to Express involves going underneath the mainline carriageway. This particular one was requested by Mr. Shiny because we can see how expensive the 395 rush hour toll lanes are. It's $26 to get all the way into DC, so that's pretty pricey. Take the train. This interchange is officially named the Turkey Cock Run interchange, which is named for Turkey Cock Run, which flows under I-395 right underneath this interchange. But for some reason, there's no sign mentioning it because the word Turkey Cock Run certainly isn't funny whatsoever. Mr. Shiny says, thank you for that request. Mr. Shiny requested that on the Patreon, and anybody with a Patreon membership can also make requests for these videos, and I appreciate everybody who does that. And I do list what our next episodes you can make requests are for first on the Patreon, so check it out if you're a fan. You can also request exits the old-fashioned way with a $5 super thanks or super sticker placed on the comments of any video. For that, I also have upcoming videos listed in the description of this video, along with in the posts section, so you can see what's open, what's closed. Right now, as I record this, I don't know what'll be available yet, so I can't speak to that yet, but you can check the description. Thank you for those of you who do that as well. We're getting East 236 Duke Street. We get a lot of these royal type names here in Alexandria. Alexandria is a pretty old town, even older than DC itself. On that same interchange, westbound of the Little River Turnpike to 395 North, Mr. Shiny wanted to see the exit lane because a few years ago, this is the Landmark Mall. This is no longer there. This is on Street View from maybe 5 years ago. And it was a shopping mall that died and remained standing from what I could tell around 2020. In 2019, they renovated the inside for it to become a mall action scene at the beginning of Wonder Woman 1984. So thank you for that request. Exit 4 is Seminary Road, and this was also requested by Mr. Shiny, because this is the exit you would take to get to his house. And he says it's a bit of a shame that none of the signs for Seminary Road have control cities on them, so he'd like to propose the control city of Mr. Shiny's house. Thank you for that request. Exit 5, going with the Duke theme. Now we've got King Street, so we outrank that last one. This is also Virginia Highway 7. This will take you to Falls Church, and this was requested by tailsgaming because it takes you to one of the hotels he stayed at on his DC trip. Interestingly, I've been to DC 1,000 times. I've never stayed in a hotel there, never once stayed overnight, just because my mom lived in Baltimore for a while and my aunt lived in Virginia. Yeah, so day trips. Thank you for that request. We are getting closer to the exit for King Street. We see 2 more signs. This one is the more impressive one because we have the Washington pull-through sign. This was requested by New York Rambler because his wife's best friend moved down there, and that's her exit. So thank you for that request. We've got another request for that one, but we'll hit that on the Southbound trip. Shortly after King Street, we are entering Arlington County. Remember, it's a county, weirdly. It's not a city. And leaving the city of Alexandria, which is not in a county, right across the river from a district with no state. Weird geographic quirks. Exit 6 is for Shirlington, and we're not getting a street name or a highway name or anything, just Shirlington. We're getting an exit for Marymount University, not to be confused with Loyola Marymount University in California, home of the great Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball. We're getting 120 North for Glebe Road as well, and we're still signed for Washington. You see, 27 East Memorial Bridge is going to be an express exit, and we're also getting it on the main line too, and it's going to be signed for Pentagon, Arlington Cemetery, and Roslyn. And Roslyn's kind of the business district of Arlington. Here's our exit, 27 to 244 West, Washington Boulevard and Columbia Pike. That's 8A. 8B is the bigger one that we saw advertised before. And here is exit 8B for Washington Boulevard for Pentagon, Arlington Cemetery, Roslyn. And we see US 1 South will be our next exit, and it's only $2 to get into DC for the remainder here, but we're pretty close to DC at this point. 8C is US 1 South, or rather 2 US 1 South, for Pentagon City, Crystal City, and DCA. Pretty major exit. Right here is the 880 Army-Navy parking lot just off of 395. This was requested by Andrew DeVore because there is a walkable tunnel that his 8th grade class went to while walking from Pentagon City Mall to the 9/11 Memorial while on a field trip. Thank you for that request. I've been to the Pentagon. I went there on 9/11/2002 actually, so there was no memorial yet, but there was some stuff going on. We are now co-signed with US 1 and still bound for Washington. We have one more exit here in Virginia for George Washington Memorial Parkway South. Another option to take you to Reagan Airport. I spoke too soon. We do have exit 10B for Memorial Drive, which will be right after our exit here for DCA and Parkway South. Right here, we are crossing the 14th Street Bridge. This was requested by Scott P., because he witnessed the Air Florida crash on that bridge in 1982, which is something he will never forget. It was really horrible. He crossed the bridge 30 minutes before the crash. The plane actually hit that bridge, killed a couple of motorists on the bridge. Crossing it that soon beforehand would definitely be a chilling situation. Thank you for that request, and I can't imagine that would have been horrible. That was a terrible crash. I know about quite a few plane crashes, but that one was new to me. That was sad to hear about. Here's another look at the 14th Street Bridge, and we can see the metro tracks crossing the Potomac River as well. And we've got another request on the 14th Street Bridge from Mr. Shiny, because it's now known as the Arlen D. Williams Memorial Bridge. Williams was a passenger on the Air Florida flight that I just mentioned that killed 74 and 4 motorists. Mr. Williams himself tried to save many of the passengers and succeeded in saving several passengers before dying from hypothermia in the freezing cold water. I looked him up. That is a true hero, and I am glad that they named the bridge after him. Thank you for that request, although definitely not glad what happened to him, but man, what a guy. Continuing across the bridge, we're going to be getting exit 1, our first exit in DC, and it is for US 1, where we are splitting with that, and it's going to head for 14th Street in the National Mall. We're heading for Capitol Hill, Capital One Arena. I don't even know what that is. Obviously, somewhat new because of the green out there. think that might be the MCI Center and Nationals Park. Right here we get a lovely view of the Jefferson Memorial and the Washington Monument in the fall as we head into the district. This is a lovely time to be there. I've been there at cherry blossom time as well, walking around that area, which is fantastic. Here is the actual split with US 1, and we are continued to be signed Capitol Hill, Nationals Park, and Capital One Arena. Our second exit in DC is for Potomac Park and the US Park Police. And now we're seeing that the MCI Center, or whatever it is exit 3. The Nationals Park, exits 4 and 5. Nationals Park's a nice park. I saw them play the Mets there one time. We're now signed 395 North Capitol Hill, and the 12th Street Expressway is leaving us. I think this is where they used to sign it as New York, but I couldn't find that anywhere on here in Old Street View. But I always thought it was hilarious that in DC, 395 was signed for New York when it doesn't even make it out of DC. This is, I believe, requested by Andrew DeVore because this 12th Street exit is also the exit for L'Enfant Plaza, and he requested that because he had lunch at the L'Enfant Plaza the day after he had the Pentagon visit, but the U.S. Capitol staff sold their tickets to another school because they were late. Thank you for that request. I hope that is the right one. I couldn't find any signs for L'Enfant Plaza itself, but from what I could tell, that is the exit to get there, and I believe that's the exit I've taken to get there myself before. Next up, we've got a laundry list of exits: Main Avenue, 695 left, and C Street Southwest, all within the next mile. And here we get 695, which is just signed for 295 and 2 DC 295. South Capitol Street is coming up. C Street Southwest for the U.S. Capitol. They used to have it split up to House and Senate for different exits, but they've reconfigured this, so maybe they don't anymore. 395 just has this weird north turn off to stay on, but no exit. It's a left exit, 3rd Street Tunnel, and this causes a lot of confusion. So I've read they're actually going to be renaming 695 to 395 and putting this current 395 stub tunnel thing and renaming that 195 so that people trying to follow 395 don't have so much trouble and they know 395 just goes straight through to 295. We're going below the carriageway we were just on and getting exit 6, C Street Southwest U.S. Capitol. 395 is signed for 3rd Street Tunnel. C Street is a left exit and an exit only, and we are going to be a 1-lane freeway interstate for a short time. We merge in with the other traffic that came off of 695, and 395 now signed for 3rd Street Tunnel. I'd just sign it New York Avenue at this point. Here is our 3rd Street Tunnel. We are on the Center Leg Freeway, and we are going under the National Mall right here. We peek out for a little bit at 2nd Street, and we're seeing 295 North Baltimore, so glad that they have Baltimore on there. Massachusetts Avenue is our exit here. This was requested by Scott P., because it's the exit he would take now to get to his friend Matt's house. Since the 90s when he drove up there, it was way different. No 695 or 295. And I agree, this looks a lot different than it used to. And we'll show a little bit of old configuration later. Thank you for that request. After we come out of the tunnels, this is kind of the last throes of 395. It's barely a freeway here. And we are meeting US 50 New York Avenue, so we see 2 Baltimore Washington Parkway. Just did an episode about that. You can check that out right over here. And 95, 295, and 495 are all that way as well. And here is where we actually meet New York Avenue, so most traffic would probably be turning right. I certainly have every time I've ever been on this. Let's turn around and talk about Southbound 395. On New York Avenue, this is what we see: West 50 New York Avenue downtown and 395 alt. 395 turn left, 4th Street, make a shallower left. And here's what it looks like as we head toward the first of the tunnels, and we see Nationals Park permit parking information. Here's what it looks like inside the tunnel as we head south under the mall. And in 2009, this was open. This was a cut and below grade freeway. And we're seeing 295 Nationals Park, 395 South Richmond, and 2nd Street for US Capitol. But that's no longer there. That's all covered now. Nowadays, it looks just like this. So it is a covered freeway, which kind of makes more sense in this urban environment. Coming out of the tunnels, we're getting the same situation: 695 to 295 and DC 295, 395 South Richmond, and 2nd Street Southwest US Capitol, 1/2 mile. I don't know if I'd sign Richmond here. I understand doing it, but Arlington, Alexandria, those are pretty big suburbs. The whole Nova thing, I think I'd maybe just sign Arlington until we get into Virginia and then sign Richmond. And here we get 395 South Richmond and 695 to 295. 295 is 695's only control city going that way. From the 695 perspective, we see 395 South Richmond and 395 North, this ramp. We're getting another 395 South Richmond and Main Avenue Southwest, 12th Street Northwest, and this would take you kind of around to L'Enfant Plaza as well. Maybe this was what Andrew DeVore was referring to. And we see on that part, 12th Street Northwest downtown is what you would be taking, not the Main Avenue Southwest. We're going to be getting express lanes soon as we are now on the bridge heading back toward Virginia. We're still in DC though, and here is a look at the Jefferson Memorial as we drive right next to that. We're concurrent with US 1 and we see we're going to have South US 1 Alexandria coming up, 395 South Richmond, and we are also going to be having the same exits for the airports coming up as well. Here's our exit for Pentagon North Parkway. We are going to be splitting with US 1 for Pentagon City, Crystal City, and Alexandria shortly. We go to Alexandria as well, but one goes through central Alexandria. Right here, we're getting exit 1B for 110 South to I-66 West and Roslyn. And this was requested by Danny Mittal. Thank you for that request. And that's because it goes to Virginia 110. We see we're going to be getting Pentagon South parking and the Washington Boulevard coming up as well. Going in the southbound direction, we have a good view of the Pentagon. We can see it right there. And in this area, let's look overhead. We see this is a pretty convoluted set of ramps and whatnot and frontage roads. Lots of stuff going on here at the very northern end of 395 in Virginia. We're meeting King Street, Virginia 7 once again, and this was requested by Adam Moldover because it takes you to one of the hotels he stayed at in DC on his trip. So popular hotel area down here. Thank you for your request. We're back to the Springfield interchange. We see we're getting 95 South Richmond, 644 for Franconia Springfield, 95 North Baltimore, 495 for Tyson's Corner. Here's where we see the express lanes and the express exits for those roads. And straight ahead is South 95. The express lanes continue beyond the Springfield interchange, and here is a list of the upcoming local exits and express exits when you are on the express lanes. And right here is where we merge back with I-95 and head through the Virginia suburbs on 95. All right, let's take a look at Todd's the way it should be for Interstate 395. I'm going to say northbound, it should be Washington, then Capitol Hill, kind of how they do it, and then I'd finish with New York Avenue instead of 3rd Street Tunnel. Seems more people will know what New York Avenue is. The 3rd Street Tunnel is just being in a tunnel. Southbound, I would sign it for Arlington first. I usually don't care for doing suburbs, but there's so much stuff going on in Arlington. I'd sign it for that. I feel like most of the traffic here is not going to be driving all the way down to Richmond from downtown, and then Richmond once you're on the Virginia side. All right, thank you so much for watching this episode of Control City Freak. This is a fun one. I haven't been on 395 in a while, but it's an interesting road. Taking the train there is probably better. The VRE Virginia Rail goes right next to 395, and it's a nice view on that train. Next week, we're going to be taking on a massive road. We're going to be looking at US 62, so that's going to be exciting. Until next time, my name is Todd, and keep on trucking.